Hello and welcome again to Shardcast. I'm your host Aaron Frozelvania Froats, and I'm going to bring you more action from the HexTCGPro Challenge Series, Season 1 February Tournament. This will be a matchup of the Round 1 in the top 8 of the tournament. This will be Errantsquire versus Braavos, which you probably know better as Crone or Vincent in the HexTCG community. Errantsquire is going to be playing a Blood Sapphire sort of artifact deck with some control tempo to it, and looks like Braavos is going to be playing a mono ruby deck, which is going to be based solely on ramping up the competition there and getting the deck moving. So again, this is going to be best of 3. The difference here is the players can actually sideboard in between games, whereas during the actual Swiss part of the tournament they weren't actually able to sideboard, but were able to switch decks between games or between matches. Here they can't switch decks between matches, but they can switch decks or sort of sideboard between games. That makes sense. So, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get you out to the action. We'll get you the coin flip. And it looks like Errantsquire won the coin flip. He's staring at 3 blood shards, a Shards of Fate, Adaptable Infusion Device, and 2 Arguses. I would think this is a pitch hand here, but with the 2 Arguses in hand, but oh, he chooses to keep it. Okay. Maybe he's hoping to hold off his opponent. As you see, immediately the way Argus works is it's a 5/5 flight troop, but at the beginning of your turn, reveal it, and if you do, the permanent cost goes down 1. So that's why you see Argus go down to 11 cost there. Errantsquire will drop a Adaptable Infusion Device on his first turn after dropping the Blood Shard. When it enters play, you can choose a standard resource from among those in your deck. You gain the threshold it provides. So you see he has 1 resource available, actually. He used that to play it. So 1 permanent resource, but he has 2 threshold, a Blood and a Sapphire. Braavos opens up with a Savage Raider, a 2/1 troop for 1. It's going to swing each turn if able. The Argus is reveal again, so they're going to go down to 10. Errantsquire's hoping to get to turn 6, which would make them playable, assuming he has enough shards to do so. Because the other part of Argus, once it is in play, not only is it a 5/5 flight troop, but you can exhaust it and you can avoid a target card. So that will make it very much a formidable card to deal with, especially if he has 2 of them. Braavos there is confirming that he has 2 Arguses in hand because you are revealing to your opponent. But because we are in the alpha stage of Hex, we want to make sure that wasn't a bug. So Braavos doing his due diligence and making sure there were actually 2. Errantsquire plays Shards of Fate his second turn, gets another Sapphire resource, but again he's stuck with 1 temporary resource, 2 permanent now, and we'll pass turn back over. Adaptable Infusion Device, the second part of that card says if you pay 4 and sacrifice, you get to draw a card. So it's really a draw card there on turn 4. But the way Braavos is ramping here is he puts, I would say ramp, the way he's putting out his aggro cards, I should say, speeding up the tempo. He drops a Ruby Pyromancer on the board and swings for 2 again. So Errantsquire down to 18. Argus is revealed. Draws a Peak for turn. And now with 3 resources available, Braavos may be thinking counter magic, which would be a good indication with 3 resources up for Errantsquire and 2 Sapphire threshold. Nevertheless, he drops his 3rd shard, swings on this, passes his first main phase, and swings with both the Savage Raider and the Ruby Pyromancer. So this will be 4 damage coming to Errantsquire, goes down to 14. Second main phase, out comes Arena Brawler, a 3/1 troop, and Errantsquire decides to counter magic it. Because of the way I had to crop the screen for the Shardcast, you aren't able to see what's on the stack at this point in time, so I'll let you know what's going on. It was Arena Brawler, 3/1 troop for 2. But Errantsquire used counter magic, so it will go to the graveyard, and all other copies of it in all zones for Braavos will have permanent cost +2. Argus revealed again, they're down to 8 now. Errantsquire draws an Extinction. He'll probably go ahead and use that since he has nothing else to block these troops coming across the board. He may decide to crack his Infusion Device first, but then he's stuck not playing a card this turn. it doesn't do either, he's probably holding on, maybe playing that peak. Or maybe at the end of the turn he'll go ahead and crack the infusion device then. We'll see. Braavos instead, on his turn, drops another shard, so he's up to 4 now, which means his champion ability will be available to him. Champion ability for Poke the Conflagrator. Braavos' champion says, here you go. Create a Blaze Elemental and put it into play. Blaze Elemental is a 3-1 troop with speed. It will be a 4-1 due to the Ruby Pyromancer, because it is 3 cost, technically. But the Blaze Elemental does go to the graveyard in the turn. Braavos plays a Gem Crazed Berserker, a 3-1 troop with a gem socket, has a speed gem in it. In response, Errantsquire plays a Peak, which allows him to look at the top card's library equal to his Sapphire threshold, which is 2. Sees a counter magic in a Relentless Corruption and chooses the counter magic. Unfortunately for him, you're going to see the whole house swing here, which will be 12 damage coming through. It's looking pretty grim on Errantsquire's side of the board here. He can't Extinction next turn. He's going to have to. There goes the Blaze Elemental to the graveyard. Errantsquire obviously facing lethal damage on the board. Argus is down to 7. Draws a Blood Shard, so he keeps the shard count going up, so he's going to Extinct here. Wipe the board, and hopefully he can get away with not seeing another speed troop. Or Burn Spell. Burn Spell would do it. Burn or Rage Fire. Because Errantsquire's only got 2 health now. Braavos draws a card. Plays his 5th shard. And there's your Rage Fire. So without 3 resources available for Errantsquire, that's going to be game. So game 1 will go to Braavos or Crone in this best of 3 matchup here in the first round of the top 8 bracket for the February tournament. So the gentlemen will sideboard here as they get ready for game 2. As I said before, they're able to sideboard or access their reserves, as it's called in Hex, in the top 8 section of the tournament, but they aren't able to switch decks between matches. So in the event whoever moves on after this matchup goes to face Elysian, won't be able to switch decks. They'll have to go back to the original deck they started with game 1 in this match. But they are able to sideboard or access their reserves, if you will, in between games to kind of match what their opponent's doing. So both players are ready to go here. Errantsquire looking at Blood Shard, 3 Sapphire Shards, a Peak, and 2 Oracle Songs. So lots of card draw here, which I don't know is that's going to help against this aggro deck that Braavos got put together, especially if it curves out the way it did last game. It's tough to slow down any deck that's going that fast. Nevertheless, Errantsquire drops a Sapphire Shard for his turn and will pass turn over to Braavos. Braavos gets to draw a card his first turn, as he did not go first. Savage Raider comes out again. So looking identical to game 1. Errantsquire draws a counter magic, so he goes ahead and make sure he gets the Sapphire Shards out there. I'm sure he'll probably peak at the end of next turn. So he wants to make Sapphire threshold out there as he can, because peak allows you to access the top cards equal to that threshold. Braavos hits his shard drop again. Does he go with the Ruby Pyromancer again? He'll skip the first main phase, and Savage Raider must attack each turn if it's able, so here comes the 2 damage across the board. Errantsquire down to 18. Second main phase, Arena Brawler. Because this one's going to land this time. Last game, if you recall, he played the Arena Brawler on turn 3, and Errantsquire was able to counter magic it. So, in step, Errantsquire is going to go ahead and use his Peak. So he gets to look top 2 cards. Extinction, which isn't a bad card against the deck he's playing. Or Sapphire Shard, he does choose the Extinction. So I'd imagine he's going to hold on to the counter magic. Oh, he draws another Extinction for turn, so the problem is he doesn't have 2 blood threshold yet. So Errantsquire is going to bypass his phases here, hold on to the counter magic because he has 3 resources available. Which means he'll take at least 5 on the chin here. Here comes Furious Taskmaster. Errantsquire has no choice but to go ahead and counter that, because Furious Taskmaster is a 2/2 troop for 2, but its ability says pay 1 and target orc gets speed this turn, which could be himself. So for 3 resources, Taskmaster comes in swinging. It's about the only move Errantsquire has there. Braavos is going to swing the board. Errantsquire facing 5 damage. We'll have to take it down to 13. Second main phase, nothing coming from Braavos, who has 1 resource available. No burn spell, I suppose. Errantsquire draws another counter magic. He's probably going to hold on to that. He didn't draw the second blood shard he needs, so he's going to use Oracle Song, hopefully draw into one here. Shards of Fate, which is going to slow him down exactly 1 more turn. So this is not looking good for Errantsquire. Shards of Fate will give him a second blood threshold, and he has 4 resources available, so he'll be able to use Extinction next turn. I apologize. However, with only 1 resource available this turn, here comes the Blaze Elemental, and whatever Braavos has at hand here, Errantsquire can't counter, because he only has 1 resource available. Blaze Elemental brings the damage total up to 8 swing across the board. Errantsquire down to 5. Rage Fire, which is a 2-cost escalation card. It's going to deal 2 damage to Errantsquire this turn. Oh, he's got back-to-back, so the second one's going to be 4, and that's going to be game. So quick work of Errantsquire here in round 1 for Braavos. So congratulations to Braavos, or Crone as he's known in the community, as he will move on to round 2, or the second round I should say, of the top 8 section of the February tournament here in the HexTCGPro Challenge Series. So Errantsquire will be done. Valiant run as he went 6-1 through the Swiss portion of it, and just seemed to get outpaced there in that round. It looks like he had a pretty decent deck to get going, but unfortunately with the way Crone was, or Braavos was drawing there, I don't think his deck would have matched up very well, because he couldn't get going enough speed there. So again, congrats to both players for making it through into the top 8, but good luck to Braavos in the second round, and good luck to Errantsquire. He's going to pick up some Challenge Series points for making it to the top 8, and I'm sure we'll see him in the March edition of it. In the meantime, I thank you again for tuning in to Shardcast. Check out the links below this video here so you can get access to my Twitch and Twitter feeds, as well as Errantsquire and Braavos or Crone. Please make sure you subscribe to all of us, that way you have access to whenever any of us go live with any sort of streaming, whether it be the Shardcast or whether it be Errantsquire or Crone playing Hex. But in the meantime, I again thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. So long. Maybe not so long. 33rd episode, and we run into a technical difficulty here. Here we go, this should work.